when you got involved in the Platinum Rule, what got you to go so deeply into it as you have recently?
Well, I kind of backed into the Platinum Rule. Before discovering it, I had studied all sorts of different, I guess, like psychographics or personality types. And I'd studied the Enneagram and MBTI and the DISC model.
What's MBTI?
I believe the Myers-Briggs type indicator, and
Right.
they believe on 16 personality styles. I learned quite a bit about it, and I kept asking myself, how can you apply this in the sales process? And every one of those models are fantastic, by the way. I learned so much about myself. What I didn't learn was how to recognize another person's personality type or behavioral style and how to adapt to what I was seeing to build that immediate rapport with someone and stay connected with them as I either worked with them or tried to sell with them so that they could see the value in what we were offering. When I stumbled across the Platinum Rule in my research, it was immediate. Right away, it was not only descriptive, it told me about myself, but it's very prescriptive. In other words, it gave me that antidote, which is watch the other person's style. And I believe you talk about openness versus guarded, direct versus indirect. I could learn it in a couple of hours, and literally the next day I could go out and adapt my style to get along better with other people.
Right. What specifically led you to the model that I focus on, which is the Platinum Rule model, as opposed to some of these other more widely recognized ones like MBTI, True Colors, DISC? What led you to Platinum Rule?
Well, it was your best friend, Jim Cathcart, and I had read one of his books called Relationship Selling, and the four-style model was so clear in there, and it helped me so much that I called him to thank him. And he was so kind, he called me back, and during our discussion, he said, well, that four-style model was also developed by my best friend, Tony Alessandra. And casually in our conversation, I had mentioned the technology that we had invented called Cyrano, and he asked me more about that. And we heard what it did in the concept of actually adapting marketing messages to match people's styles, and it was something I was working on in theory. He said, well, my friend Tony Alessandra had that idea 10 years ago. He's going to want to see what it is you've done, and that's when he introduced me to you, and that's when we started putting everything together.
Well, I know a lot of people are wondering what Cyrano is, and if you can just give, sort of a 30-second elevator description of it, because we're going to do another show called The Platinum Rule for Marketing, which we co-authored, and you'll get into that in much more depth, but just so that people know what Cyrano is.
All right. Cyrano is a web-based, think of it almost as a CRM on steroids. It's something we invented to overcome my shortcomings.
All right, CRM.
Contact relationship management, in other words, a place to store a database and keep all your information in one place. And being a socializer type, I'm really good at networking and meeting people and really short on follow-through. So I needed something that would automatically, after meeting someone, send them the right thing at the right time to move the relationship forward, send them messages to help them achieve goals. And so we invented a system that you could log in from the internet, and it would automatically send customized emails, customized literature, even birthday gifts that match what the other person, their style.
Now, does it mail the birthday gifts too?
It absolutely will if you wanted it to. It'll send golf balls to people who golf, and it matches everything.
Excellent. Okay, so that's Cyrano. Now let's really dig into this application of the Platinum Rule in selling. So, sort of an overview. How does the Platinum Rule apply in selling? How do we take that concept and drill it down into the sales process?
Well, hopefully the viewers have watched some of your other shows, because you talk about adaptability as everything. So there's three things required. You have to know yourself a little bit and your natural tendencies. So I learned that I was a socializer, and I learned about my strengths, but I also learned about some potential weaknesses. Secondarily, I learned about how to recognize someone's style. So I just watched them as I would go through the sales process. Some people have a faster pace. Some people have naturally a more slower pace. Some people are just more open to share with me their pain, problems they're having, or goals they want to achieve, and some people keep it guarded. So that's the second dimension. Know yourself, recognize another person, and the biggest one is adapt to what you're seeing. So all I had to do was to either slow down my rate of speech, maybe come across as a little more calm, depending on their demeanor, and then also shift the focus of the conversation. So by nature, I'm a very open person. So during most sales calls, I would like to talk about personal things. I talk about their hobbies, their family, how they got into business. Well, if they're a guarded person, you can see how that might create some tension.
Right.
So I shifted my pace, and I shifted the focus of the conversation, and then how I asked people questions, and it made all the difference in the world.
Talk about the steps of the